The humanitarian appeal for Afghanistan is the largest ever launched for a single country, but commitments to date are lagging the desperate needs on the ground.
Despite our collective efforts, the already dire humanitarian situation in Afghanistan has deteriorated alarmingly over the past months. Some 95% of people do not have enough to eat, and 9 million people are at risk of famine. UNICEF estimates that 1 million severely malnourished children are on the verge of death without immediate action, and global food prices are skyrocketing as a result of the war in Ukraine. This spells catastrophe for both Afghans struggling to feed their families and for our aid operations. Without immediate action, we face a starvation and malnutrition crisis in Afghanistan.
The Food and Agricultural Organization says households in the country are resorting to measures such as skipping meals, selling agricultural livelihoods, or taking on debt to ensure there's food on the table, as the UN aims to reach some 22 million people in need.
The UN Development Programme has warned that unless we take action, 97% of Afghans could be living below the poverty line by the middle of this year. Humanitarian needs have tripled since last June. Yes, tripled. And they are growing, day by day, month by month. Excellencies, the international community must find ways to spare the Afghan people from the impact of the decision to halt development support to Afghanistan and to freeze nearly $9 billion in Afghan assets overseas. It must make cash available so the Afghan economy can breathe and the Afghan people can eat.
The global organization has clarified that all funds raised go directly to aid agencies implementing humanitarian projects and not through the Taliban that now governs Afghanistan, and comes at a time when the de facto rulers backtracked on a commitment to allow girls to attend school beyond the 6th grade, further complicating international goodwill.
I deeply regret the girls' education above 6th grade remains suspended. A violation of the equal rights of girls that damages the entire country and leaves girls more exposed to violence, poverty and exploitation. There is simply no justification for such discrimination. Educated girls become educated women who lift their families and communities into a better future. The inclusion of women and girls in all sectors of society and the economy is essential to overcoming Afghanistan's intersecting economic, humanitarian and human rights crisis. I call on those with influence to use it to pressure the de facto authorities to fulfill their promise to reopen schools for all students without discrimination or further delay.
In a world of multiple crises where humanitarians are being stretched to the limit. From Afghanistan to Ukraine to the Sahel and the Horn of Africa to the DRC, Yemen and elsewhere. The UN's Office for Humanitarian Affairs says some 274 million people will need humanitarian assistance and protection this year alone. A significant increase from the 235 million just a year ago, driven by man-made conflicts, a climate crisis and disease, with women and girls bearing the brunt. Sherman Bryceby's SABC News, New York.